The text arrived just as I was pulling the turkey out of the oven. Don't bother visiting for Thanksgiving dinner. Amanda and her mom are the only family I need now. Stop sending money. We don't need your help anymore. I stared at my phone, the harsh words from my father blurring through my tears. My hands trembled as I set down the perfectly cooked turkey I prepared, hoping that maybe this year would be different. That maybe this year I could finally join them for a family holiday. My name is Sarah Mitchell, and at 32, I've spent the last 5 years secretly paying my father's medical bills after his heart surgery. Not that he knew. He thought his insurance had mysteriously covered everything. The truth was more complicated. I glanced at the latest hospital bill on my kitchen counter, $4,800 for his monthly medications and checkups. Money I'd been quietly paying since his first heart attack, coordinating with the hospital's billing department to keep my involvement hidden. My father thought his premium insurance was covering it all, never questioning why he didn't see the bills. The next text buzzed through. Amanda got straight A's this semester. That's what a real daughter looks like. Not someone who abandoned her family to move across the city. I hadn't abandoned anyone. I'd moved 30 minutes away to be closer to the hospital where I worked as a nurse. The same hospital that treated my dad. The same hospital where I'd arranged to have his bills sent directly to me. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd chosen nursing because of him. Watching him struggle with heart problems after Mom died had inspired me to help others. Now I spent my days caring for patients while secretly ensuring my own father could afford his care. Another text. Your stepmom says you make her uncomfortable anyway. Always hovering, trying to give advice about my health. I'm fine. Amanda takes better care of me than you ever did. Amanda, my 23-year-old stepsister who'd moved in 3 years ago when my father married her mother, Patricia. They dated for only 6 months before the wedding. Since then, my childhood home had become a shrine to Amanda's achievements, while my family photos mysteriously disappeared one by one. I sat down at my kitchen table, surrounded by the Thanksgiving dinner I cooked, hoping against hope that this year's invitation wouldn't be rescinded. The turkey was still warm, filling my apartment with the scent of herbs, Mom's old recipe. She taught me to cook before cancer took her when I was 16. Dad had been different after that, but never like this. Never cruel. And don't send any Christmas presents this year. Another text buzzed through. Patricia says it makes Amanda feel bad that you're always trying to buy our love. Buy their love. I opened my banking app, looking at the latest transaction. $4,800 to Metropolitan Hospital. The same payment I'd made every month for 5 years, totaling over $300,000. Money I'd never mentioned, never held over his head, never used to prove my love. My phone rang, the hospital's billing department. Ms. Mitchell, there's been an issue with the latest payment for your father's account. What's wrong? I asked, my heart racing. The payment went through yesterday. Yes, but it's been rejected, the billing coordinator explained. We received instructions that all payments must come directly from the patient from now on. Apparently, Mrs. Patricia Mitchell called to complain about unauthorized payments being made on her husband's behalf. My stomach dropped. Patricia had discovered my secret, but instead of being grateful, she turned it into another weapon. Your father's portion after standard insurance would be $4,800 monthly, the coordinator continued. Should I inform him of the payment schedule? I closed my eyes, thinking of the text messages, of Amanda's straight A's, of Patricia's discomfort, of my father's rejection. Yes, I said quietly. I think it's time he knew. We'll send him the full billing history as well, she added. Standard procedure when changing payment arrangements. The full history, 5 years of monthly payments, every surgery, every medication, every follow-up appointment that I covered while they pretended I didn't care enough. My phone buzzed with one final text from my father. Have a nice life. Don't bother trying to be part of this family anymore. I looked at my empty dining room table, set for 4 people who would never arrive. At the turkey that would go uneaten. At the pumpkin pie cooling on the counter, Dad's favorite, made from Mom's recipe. Then I looked at the hospital bill, the latest in a long line of payments I'd made not for recognition or gratitude, but because I couldn't bear to see him struggle. Because despite everything, he was still my father. Please, I told the billing coordinator, make sure he gets the full history, every payment, every date, every amount. As I hung up, I realized this Thanksgiving would be different after all. Not because I'd finally be welcomed at their table, but because for the first time in 5 years, my father would learn what real family loyalty looked like. The truth was coming, served cold like the dinner growing stale on my table, and somehow that felt like something to be thankful for. The hospital called my dad the next morning. I was at work on an early shift, checking on patients, when my phone started buzzing again and again. First, 3 missed calls from Patricia, then a bunch of angry texts from Amanda, and finally a call from my dad. "What is this bill?" he asked, trying to stay calm but sounding worried. "The hospital says I owe $4,800 a month. That can't be right. My insurance covers everything." I stepped into the empty break room and took a deep breath. "No, Dad. I've been paying it. For the last 5 years." Silence. "What do you mean, you've been paying it?" he asked. "Every bill. Every medication. Since your first heart surgery. I worked it out with the hospital, so everything came to me." More silence. I imagined him sitting at the kitchen table, the same one where I used to do homework, where Mom made Sunday dinner, where Patricia now hosts family meals I'm not invited to. "That's over $300,000, he said, flipping through papers. $312,000 actually, I said, trying to sound calm, like I do with difficult patients. "That's the same amount you told me not to send anymore." More silence. "Why would you do this?" he finally asked. "Because you're my dad," I said. "After Mom died, I promised I'd take care of you, even if you didn't want me to." I heard Patricia yelling in the background, "Tell her to fix it. Call the hospital. She can't just stop paying." "You don't get to ask me for anything," I said, loud enough for her to hear. "Not after those texts yesterday. Not after pushing me away for 3 years. "But we can't afford this," Dad said. His voice shook. "Patricia just put a down payment on a car for Amanda. We're already tight on money." Of course they were. I'd seen Amanda's social media, her new BMW, her shopping trips, fancy vacations, all while I worked extra hours to pay his medical bills. "I know about the car," I said softly, "and the cruise last month, and Amanda's shopping in New York. I saw the posts, all the family events I wasn't invited to, but I still kept paying." "Sarah," he started. I interrupted him. "Last night, I made Thanksgiving dinner. Mom's recipes, turkey, stuffing, cranberry sauce, even the pumpkin pie you love. I set the table for 4, hoping maybe this year would be different. But instead, I got texts saying I don't belong in your life." Patricia's voice got louder. "She's trying to guilt trip us." "No," I said firmly. "I'm telling the truth. For the first time in 5 years, you're all going to see what real family care looks like." "We can't pay this," my dad said again, sounding scared. "Sarah, please, my pension isn't enough." "I know, that's why I paid from the start, but you told me you didn't need me anymore. That Amanda takes better care of you." My pager went off. A patient needed me. "I have to go," I said. "The hospital billing office has my info if you need the payment records." And Dad? "Yes," he said quietly. "That turkey I made, it's in the freezer now, just like Mom used to do. But this time, not because we have leftovers, because there was no one to eat it with." I hung up before he could say more. My tears in the break room were just for me, no one else would see them. As I headed back to work, my phone buzzed again. A message from my dad. "I didn't know. All this time, I didn't know." I replied. "No, you didn't want to know. That's different." Then I turned off my phone and went back to caring for people who actually wanted my help. The truth was out, cold like my untouched Thanksgiving dinner. But somehow, I felt lighter. After 5 years of silence, my voice had finally been heard. Let them figure out the bills now. Let them realize what they lost. I had a job to do, and for the first time in years, no more secret payments to make. Sometimes the best way to care for someone is to let them face the truth on their own. 2 weeks passed in a blur of work shifts and unanswered calls. Patricia's number I blocked after the first day of constant harassment. Amanda's angry social media posts about fake family loyalty I ignored. But my father's messages, those were harder to dismiss. "Please call me," he texted daily. "We need to talk." It was during a quiet night shift that everything changed. I was doing my rounds when I saw a familiar name on the admission chart. James Mitchell, my father. Acute chest pain. My professional instincts took over as I rushed to the emergency room. There he was, looking smaller somehow in the hospital bed, Patricia notably absent. "Sarah," he breathed when he saw me. "I didn't know you were working tonight." "I'm your assigned nurse," I said, checking his vitals with practiced efficiency. "Where's Patricia?" "At home with Amanda." He winced as I adjusted his IV. They're looking at cheaper cars today. Trying to return the BMW. I nodded, keeping my face neutral as I recorded his blood pressure. "The doctor will be in soon. Try to rest." "Wait," he caught my hand. "Please, I've been trying to reach you." I gently removed my hand. "This isn't the time, Dad. You need to focus on your health right now." "No," he insisted, his voice stronger. "I've been foolish for too long. When I saw those payment records, Sarah, I had no idea. All these years you were taking care of me while I let them push you away." I continued my checks, professional mask firmly in place. "Your heart rate is elevated. You need to stay calm." "I found your mother's old recipe box," he continued. "Patricia had hidden it in the attic. And your childhood photos, they weren't lost. They were packed away because Patricia said they ruined the aesthetic of the house." My hand stilled on his chart. "I kicked them out," he said quietly. "Patricia and Amanda. The day after Thanksgiving. After I really looked at those hospital records, after I saw how much you'd sacrificed while they spent and spent. Dad, they've been living off your kindness while treating you like an outsider." "I was living off your kindness while forgetting what real family means." His eyes filled with tears. "Can you ever forgive me?" I looked at my father, really looked at him. Past the medical equipment, past the patient chart, past the years of hurt. I saw the man who'd once taught me to ride a bike, who'd supported my dream of becoming a nurse, who'd lost himself after Mom died. "It's not about forgiveness," I said finally. "It's about understanding what family really means. It's not about expensive cars or perfect holidays. It's about being there for each other, even when it's hard, even when it hurts." "Like you were there for me," he whispered, "even when I didn't deserve it." "Get some rest," I said, adjusting his blanket. "We can talk more tomorrow." But before I could leave, he spoke again. "Sarah, that turkey you made for Thanksgiving, is it still in your freezer?" I nodded. Maybe when I'm better. We could have that dinner. Just us." For the first time in weeks, I felt myself smile. "I'd like that." 3 days later, I helped Dad settle back into his house. A house now peacefully free of Patricia and Amanda's presence. As I heated up the preserved Thanksgiving turkey and Mom's special sides, Dad placed her recipe box back in its rightful place in the kitchen. "You know," he said, watching me work, "your mother would be so proud of you. Not just for becoming a nurse, but for being a better person than I've been." We sat down to our reheated Thanksgiving dinner, just the two of us. It wasn't perfect. The turkey was a little dry from freezing. The stuffing needed extra gravy. But as we shared our first real meal together in years, I realized something. Sometimes the best family moments aren't the picture-perfect ones. They're the ones that come after the storm, when truth and love finally find their way back home. Dad insisted on doing the dishes afterward, though his hands shook slightly from his medication. As he worked, I heard him humming, an old tune Mom used to sing while cooking. Some things, it seemed, could never really be packed away in an attic. 3 months have passed since then. Dad's health has improved, and so has our relationship. We have weekly dinners now, sometimes with Mom's recipes, sometimes with new ones we try together. The house feels like home again, filled with the family photos Patricia had hidden and the memories we're finally ready to share. The hospital bills. Dad's pension covers them now, though it's not easy, but he insists on paying them himself. "It's time I took responsibility," he says. And every month when he makes that payment, I see him remember what real family loyalty looks like. Sometimes the most expensive things in life aren't measured in dollars, but in the courage it takes to face our mistakes and begin again.